Then it's 6:01 now, and we'll call the meeting to order. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. Large print materials are available upon advance request. If you would like either of these accommodations, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833. The Notice of Non-Discrimination Rights and Protections to Beneficiaries with regard to the federal Title VI non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protections is posted in the meeting room and is available on the Old Colony Planning Council website. Please also contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 for more information on these important protections. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Okay.
if would like, I can do the roll call.
Yes, please.
Abington,
Delegate present.
Avon,
Delegate present. I believe our alternate is also present.
yes, thank you, Frank. Bridgewater,
Alternate present.
thank you. Brockton,
Alternate present.
Duxbury, not yet. East Bridgewater is unavailable. Easton is unavailable. Halifax,
Alternate present.
thank you, Jonathan. Hanover, I know Rhonda has pneumonia and Stephen is maybe joining, so we'll keep an eye out. Hanson,
Delegate present.
thank you, Tony. Kingston, I believe that both delegate and alternate unable to attend. Pembroke,
Present.
thank you, Becky. Plymouth, Lee was having some difficulties in technology, so he may not, we'll keep an eye out for him. Plimpton, Christine is unavailable. Stoughton, I don't believe that there's anybody here. West Bridgewater, Eldon is feeling under the weather. Whitman,
Alternate present.
Delegate present.
thank you, both Noreen and Dan, and at large.
Present.
Thank you, Yolanda. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Our next agenda item is a consent agenda for the September 2023 meeting minutes and the environmental notices. Do we have anyone who wants to make a motion with regard to the September 27th, 2023 minutes?
That motion, Madam Chairperson. Sorry, that was Frank.
Thank you,
I'll
Frank. Do we have a second?
I'll second. Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen. Mary, can we do these with the environmental notices or do we need separate?
Because we sent the environmental notices out with the minutes, we can take them as part of the consent agenda unless someone has a question about them.
Okay, so this motion is for both the minutes of the September meeting and the environmental notices. Is that right, Frank?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, could we do a roll call, Mary?
Yes, Abington,
Accept.
Avon,
Accept.
Bridgewater,
Accept.
Brockton,
Accept.
Halifax,
Accept.
Hanson,
Accept.
Pembroke,
Accept.
Whitman,
Alternate has to abstain. I don't believe I was there.
and then at large.
I'm also gonna abstain. I wasn't there.
Thank you. That's with 2 abstentions and the rest has been approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. So, Brenda, do you want to do the financials next?
Okay,
The September 2023 financials.
yes. Okay, at the end of September, we were in good financial condition, showing a 3.07% budget surplus. Statement of expenditures report shows total expenses for the month at $272,174.37. Cash position report shows income for the month at $364,809.74. Disbursements for the month were $460,690.62. The total cash available at month's end was $2,001,200. $94.78. The OPEB account had a loss of $21,899.32, bringing the ending balance in the OPEB account to $990,788.46. Budget resources report. Cash receipts being $364,809.74 brings the total year-to-date receipts to $1,139,060.99. AAA report. Outstanding balance for AAA pass-through programs was $852,424.58. Outstanding balance for AAA admin and ombudsman programs was $155,472.44. This brings the total outstanding balance for AAA programs to $1,007,897.02. Voluntary transportation account beginning balance was $169,898.72. Restricted funds payments to volunteers were a total of $1,292.98. Donations for the program were $592.67, bringing the ending balance in the fund to $169,198.41. ROM's statement and activity. Balance at the beginning of the month was $169,429.12. Receipts were $8,350, bringing the total receipts to $25,050. Expenses were $13,285.10, bringing the total expenses to $35,104.75. The ending statement balance was $172,226.89. Budget reports. The spent to date percentage rate at the end of September was 21.93%. The ideal percentage in the third month of the fiscal year would be 25%. So at month's end, we had a 3.07% surplus. Page 1, expenditures at the end of September were a total of $653,206. Budgeted allowance expenditures remaining at the end of September were a total of $2,978,796. Page 2, projected grant income as of the end of September is $2,978,796. Changes which are highlighted in pink. EDA Regional Water Study projected income has been decreased because the original number included contractual funds, which are pass-through funds. EDA East Bridgewater Sewer Line Grant. This is a new grant that has been added. EPA Brownfields Grant has been decreased due to the work beginning later than originally anticipated. Narragansett Bay Grant funds have been increased from the original projected amount. Avon Safe Harbor Grant. This is a new grant that has been added. Avon MVP. This is a new grant that has been added. Page 3 shows no changes. Projected pass-through income remains at $1,719,329. And lastly is the list of combined AP and cash transfers for May. And that ends the September financial report. Any questions, anyone? Okay, thank you.
No questions? If we have no questions, do we have a motion to accept the September 2023 financial report?
I'll
I'll
make that
motion.
motion. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go
Go
ahead, Dave.
ahead.
I'll make that motion.
All right,
Thanks,
go ahead.
Steve.
I'll
Second?
second it. I'll second it from Dan, from Whitman.
Okay, thank you. Mary, a roll call?
Yes, Abington,
Accept.
Avon,
accept,
Bridgewater,
Accept.
Brockton,
Accept.
Halifax,
Accept.
Hanson,
Accept.
Pembroke,
Accept.
Whitman,
accept,
Accept.
and at large. Thank you.
Accept.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda.
You're welcome.
So next on the agenda, we have the OCPC staff report. I just want to point out, if people didn't know this, that
We have new people.
Mary Waldron had a birthday last weekend. So just take this opportunity to say happy birthday to Mary.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mary.
Well, thank you, everyone. And Madam Chair, we had a last minute email that I think we sent you that may not have gotten there, but thank you for the birthday wishes.
Yeah.
We need to take a couple items out of turn just because of there's some motions, and I know we're gonna lose some people early, but in addition to that, we have a slide because Christine Joy, our treasurer and past president, is a new first-time grandmother.
Oh, how
Ooh.
beautiful.
Oh, she is beautiful. What a
Literally,
beautiful name.
Christine sent this like in the late
Oh,
afternoon. Yes, so
Oh,
we just
nice.
want to send Christine and her family and her daughter just all best wishes. And thank you for Megan for putting this little piece together and adding it into our agenda. So
Wonderful. Thank you.
Congratulations,
Um,
Christine.
Thank you,
so
Megan.
Madam President, so we're going to actually just skip right to number 10, go into 11, and then we'll go back to the staff report.
Okay, so we're moving on to election of one community with population over 15,000 to serve as a signatory member on the Old Colony Metropolitan Planning Organization. And that is an action item. Charles, are you going to introduce that?
Yeah.
Or Mary?
So, yeah, we just, Dan was the sole nomination form returned, and it's for a 2-year term. Just point out Dan's served in this capacity previously, and in our humble opinion, he's done a wonderful job. And if it's the board's pleasure for somebody to make a nomination to elect Dan, that would be our pleasure as well.
This time
I-
make that nomination to elect Dan Salvucci. He's done a fabulous job all these years.
I'll
Attendance,
second the motion.
we couldn't ask for someone better than Dan.
Thank
Is that
you.
Frank seconding?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, so we have a nomination of Daniel Salvucci to be the representative on the Metropolitan Planning Organization for communities with population over 15,000 people. Mary, you want to do a roll call on that?
I will. Abington,
Accept.
Avon,
Accept.
Bridgewater,
Accept.
Brockton,
Accept.
Halifax,
Accept.
Hanson,
Accept.
Pembroke,
Accept.
Whitman,
Except,
and
Accept.
at large.
Yeah.
We only need one vote from Whitman, but Dan,
Well,
that
I
works
thought
out
I'd throw
great.
it in.
Yeah,
Can I
that works
say-
out great.
I
Madam
say
Chair, that's a
something?
unanimous vote.
Yeah, may I
Congratulations,
say
Dan.
something? Yeah, I want to thank everyone for that. And although, I was the only person that signed it, as soon as I received that mail in my selectman's office, I signed it right away and had my clerk, she faxed it to you. And it's just an important thing to do for our community. It's that simple. And to be there at every meeting, it'd be nice when we start going in the morning, I could have breakfast, instead of Zoom, but whatever. Being on, as I say, the MPO and the JTC as vice chair, it's very important for our district to complete what Old Colony does, the Old Colony region, just to complete and vote for it. They do such a great job. It's that simple. And I'm honored to represent the towns of a greater population of 15,000. Thank you.
do. Thank you
And
for your
Dan,
service. Thank you for your service. You do a great
Yes.
job. Very appreciative.
and I think part of the reason we don't have a ton of people looking to do it is because they feel satisfied that you are doing a good job.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
So keep in mind that everyone is welcome to attend those meetings. So if you're a delegate and who doesn't have a lot of visibility, but maybe you have some time along the way to attend a Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting or a JTC, which is on the transportation, it's helpful to attend those just to get a broader sense of what the people what OCPC helps organize for our region. So I encourage you to pay attention to when those meetings are and attend, just so you get to know more about what we do.
Well,
And next we have our federal fiscal year 2024 to 2028 Old Colony Transportation Improvement Plan, also known as the TIP, Amendment Number 1, which was released to a 21-day public review and comment period by the Old Colony MPO on October 17th, 2023, if I'm reading correctly. And Charles, are you going to take it from here?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. So as you stated, this was released to a public review and comment period by the MPO on October 17th. And importantly, what this amendment does is program in 4 important projects. 2 of them are for the Brockton Area Transit, and 1 is for the town of Plymouth, and 1 is for the city of Brockton. Again, if you could go to the second to the last page, it has a list of projects. Thank you. So the first 2 for Brockton Area Transit is there's a $400,000 project for purchase of miscellaneous support and power equipment to help support their transition to a fleet of battery electric buses. And the second project for BAT is actually a grant award through the bipartisan infrastructure law for just federal dollar amount of $10.7 million for the purchase of 7 battery electric buses and additional support equipment. And it also includes a workforce training element for the Brockton Area Transit workforce to train the mechanics on how to service the battery electric buses. The third project being programmed in is a discretionary grant award for the town of Plymouth for Town Brook Deep Water Culvert in the amount of $2 million. And if you could scroll down just a little bit further onto the next page, the city of Brockton was a recipient of a discretionary grant award for the planning, engineering, and design of part of their conversion to a 2-way traffic system. And they had a grant award of about $7.8 million. So congratulations to these communities and entities that applied for these discretionary grants through the bipartisan infrastructure law. It's great to see these discretionary dollars coming into the region. You might be asking, hey, does this push any other projects out, or is it competing with other projects? And the answer is no. This doesn't affect programming of other projects, but this is technically additional money. So it's great to see this additional investment in the region. So this is a action item. If the board has any questions, we're here to answer them. And if not, we would respectfully request an action on this item to endorse.
Charles, so you answered the question I usually ask, which is, does this take away other dollars from us? And it's nice to hear about the additional investment. My second question here is, are there any grant processes in process for additional money to come to the region, or has that all been spoken for at this point?
So these discretionary grant programs happen on an annual basis. So communities are rolling through the process and they may or may not be applying. I know the city of Brockton is applying for a discretionary grant for reconnecting communities, and that would be for an improvement project down in the Campello area, pedestrian crossing and accessing near Main Plain and Keith. That's the only other one we're really aware of that a community is applying for at the moment. Other ones are being implemented as we speak.
I wonder if it makes sense to just do an email to our communities, our town managers, or to our delegates to pass on to the town managers, maybe to everyone. Just making sure that, people have thought about these extra dollars, and if they need advice, if there's any role OCPC can play in helping to connect them to those dollars. It just might be a good way to get OCPC out there as in terms of the value we can help add to our communities. With that said, any other questions on the amendment to the TIP? Then do we have a motion to What are we approving? We approve the amendment even though it's still within the public comment period, Charles?
Yes, that's correct. And we'll report this to the MPO board when they meet on November 22nd, 21st.
Okay, and
to
this will
consider
really be
endorsement.
part of the public comment, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right, so do we have a motion to approve the tip amendment on behalf of OCPC?
I'll make
I'll
that
motion.
motion. I'm sorry, go
Okay,
ahead, Dan.
second from Whitman.
Okay, Mary, can we do a roll call vote?
Yes, Madam President. Abington,
Accept.
Avon,
Accept.
Bridgewater,
Accept.
Brockton,
Accept.
Hanover.
You forgot
Hanson.
Halifax.
Oops, I'm sorry. Halifax, that's what I meant to say.
No, don't forget me. I accept.
Sorry, Jonathan. Hanover is not here. Hanson,
Accept.
Becky, from Pembroke,
Except,
Whitman,
Accept.
and at
Both.
large. Oh, Duxbury, thank you. I'm gonna go back to Duxbury, please.
Accept.
Thank you. My apologies. I did not see you come through.
thank you, Allison. I didn't see that either.
And I accept too.
Thank you.
Oh, Yolando, did we not?
I
No,
didn't.
no,
I
no.
went-
Mary called me. Yeah,
Okay,
I just wanted to make sure I said it.
Perfect.
thank you.
That is unanimous.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. So with that said, we will go back to the OCPC staff report with Mary
Yes.
Waldron.
And I will be quick. What we've been doing, because those staff reports, I can't emphasize again, please read through them. The staff themselves, the
Yeah.
staff report themselves, there's lots of great details. But for the highlights, we're talking about, in terms of our administration, that we had a staff retreat, great team building. We went out to all adventures in Kingston. On our way, we were able to see lots of the communities between Brockton and Kingston. We've also started this university, OCPC University. It's our staff teaching each other about what they do, and we take a half hour of time just to review. It gets recorded. So internal university, and then who knows, maybe we'll be reaching that out to the rest of the community as well. So I want to go right over across to the Area Agency on Aging. The Title III grantee spotlights, as shown in the full report, you'll see the federal fiscal year 2023, the legal service figures for the Justice Center of Brockton. They are highlighted in the report, incredible numbers of how these dollars are being utilized within our region, and just hats off to David Klein and to Sean Noel and to the team, and working with the sub-grantees. We've gone over these at past meetings before, but just want to emphasize that. And then talk about cross departments. Our GIS department worked with David and the AAA to create maps for the Mass ASAPS. Again, we utilized our time. They utilized some funds from the AAA funds, but it's maps that really help the 27 areas that are really needed to just kind of see the bigger picture. So thank you to David and to Andrew Vidal. And then we go over to the comprehensive planning, the towns of Hanson and East Bridgewater. They're updating their master plans. The DLTA grant applications are going to be sent out in December. For those that may not know, right, it's a calendar year. The District Local Technical Assistance Program runs from January to December. So we'll be sending out some funding. These are pretty much seed funds that help in many ways of the planning for many of your communities that do not have a planner. And even if you do have a planner, these are funds that help your planner get there with utilizing funds. Over to the Transportation Department, the Route 18 corridor study for Bridgewater and East Bridgewater. There was a public meeting where they shared the data. Great panelist in terms of Bob Ruelli, who is our alternate for the town of Bridgewater, along with Charlie Seelig and Ray Garino and Guo Chong Lee. Great participation, understanding what a corridor study is. And then that leads into the two new corridor studies that are commencing. These will be in the town of Kingston and Stoughton. Same replication of gathering the data, working with the communities, doing the survey, bringing people together, and having some great discussions. So it really is important. And again, just want to just thank Bob Ruelli for participating in that. And then last but not least is the Economic Development and Housing Department. And many of these departments, particularly Economic Development and the Comprehensive Planning, are changing the name. But the RFRs, request for responses, are being for the Regional Water Study. There's been lots of discussions. A short list has been developed with CDM Smith and environmental planners who are going to be interviewed. That's that close to $1 million study that we, Joanne Zigman had updated last month. And then the Brownfield Steering Committee is set to meet. These are including the communities of East Bridgewater, Whitman, Hanson, and Easton. Lots of good discussion. Nick Giaquinto and Don Sullivan are like two peas in a pod working together along with the other departments, transportation, as well as with comprehensive planning. And last but not least, again, the $3 million EDA grant was received for the town of East Bridgewater, working with the town of Brockton and building their sewer capacity. $3 million grant. The work is going to begin. It is the first time an award that has been given in close to, the Brockton Neighborhood Health Center. So that's 25 maybe years ago. So this is the benefit of bringing someone like Don Sullivan with his expertise and really working on projects. So that's the highlight. Please look at the whole staff report. I know just Megan, if you just keep scrolling, it's a lot of information. It's in your packet. It's also in the Google Drive to get all that information. So thank you.
Very good.
There is no action that's required at that report. And Madam President, I could just, because I know it's right on the list, just quickly on the legislative retirement update. Once again, last Friday, the Mass Association of Regional Planning Agencies, we meet, the executive directors and staff meet on a once-a-month basis. The legislation is still stagnated where it's not coming out of committee. With a new director of the Mass State Retirement Board, there seems to be a little bit of a new attitude, but there is a consultant, a lobbyist who was working on our behalf. And for those that do not know about what this is, some of the new members, is that the regional planning agencies, not all, but some of us, we do pay into the Mass State Retirement Board, but we're not seen as being a governmental agencies and being. And the idea had been that we should be, we're doing the government's work, that we should be part of the state, where the state picks up our contribution. So we're still working on that. It's on the agenda. We'll stay on the agenda until we get some resolution to that.
Thank you, Mary. And I know this is now new business, but the OPEB update.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, and my apologies. We talk about this both at the finance committee meetings, and then we'll also be having this at the council meeting. There, for some of the new members, what has happened is that a year ago, the council voted to have a declaration of trust document. That document had some stagnation with it after the change of administration and some new folks. And we picked it back up again. The gentleman, the attorney that we were dealing with at Murphy Hesse Toomey Lehane has moved on, and now we have a new attorney who Catherine Hesse is looking at it. We are about fourth in line on her list to be looked at. So basically, the language that was voted a year ago is being reviewed one more time. But then there's going to be some, once that gets approved by the attorney's office, there'll be some actionable items where there will be appointments of a 5-member board, a committee made up of a retiree of OCPC, and that's a ballot vote. A person with financial background, doesn't say specification of who that might be, but that's a ballot vote. An OCPC staff member, that's a ballot vote. And then Old Colony Planning Council member, that's an appointed. And then an Old Colony Planning Council officer, and that's an appointment. So those 5 members, that's the action item. The timeline that we have in place is between now and January, that we're hoping that those ballots and the appointment, so then an action item can be done in January of 2024. So we can finally get this committee up and going to then make decisions about the investments of the OPEB account.
Thank you, Mary. Now we have, Preston, you're doing a MassDOT Small Bridge Program presentation?
Yes,
1 minute, I'm
Yeah.
going to,
Somebody can,
yes, I'm going to be.
so Mary's gonna drive and I'm gonna talk.
awesome.
That's funny.
Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, so I've done this a couple of times over the past few years. When they originally implemented this, provided a little discussion, and as things have evolved, I've updated the council to hopefully take back to the communities. This is the MassDOT Small Bridge Program. It was, I don't recall when it was first implemented, but it was a 2-year program several years ago before COVID. Everything's before COVID now or after, but anyway, it was $50 million originally. And it was a legislative allotment to the state to provide grants to municipalities for managing and repairing, replacing their small bridges. The original program was 2 years. It was very popular. There was a backlog of requests by the time it exhausted. So I believe the legislature extended it to a new program. And MassDOT implemented that a couple of years ago. It's still kind of getting off the ground. So what I wanted to do was talk about a few things that have changed from the original program to the current one. And just to say, our company has done a lot of these. Mostly for towns in the western part of the state. We've successfully helped towns in District 1 and part of District 2 obtain a number of these grants and complete bridges over the years. And we are currently on MassDOT's consulting contract for design work, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So to get to the website, all you have to do is Google MassDOT Small Bridge Program. And it'll drop you into this selection right at the top, and it will lead you here to the home page. Because this is a grant, everything in this on this page is described in grant terms, even though logically in some cases it doesn't make sense the way that they're doing it. But again, I believe this is tied to legislation, so that's how they've chosen to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to step through some of the tabs and discuss some of the things that have changed from the original program and some of the things that the town should be aware of when they want to go into go through this process. So Mary, if you want to go start with project implementation.
Wrong one, sorry, I jumped.
That's okay.
Good, thank you.
Okay, so the first thing is that the town will fill out an application submitted to MassDOT. MassDOT, I'll talk about that in a little bit. MassDOT will evaluate the town's request and their eligibility for the bridge and make a determination as to whether or not they're going to award it. If they do award it, the town is responsible for 2 phases. The first phase, which is the original small bridge program, had the town hire an engineering consultant to do the design, and the town was awarded up to $100,000 for that design. The consultant had to be pre-approved on the MassDOT A&E board for small bridge design, and there is a lot of them. What MassDOT found was that there was a number of consultants were designing projects that could not be built within the limits of the grants. So they decided that they would take on a number of firms who had been successful in doing that and bring them on as a contract. And so what MassDOT will do, Mary, if you'll hit design implementation.
Yep. Oops,
The first one, yep. So what MassDOT will do is they will take the grant application and If the grant is awarded, they will select one of the consultants from that, their list, and they'll give them the design. Mary, if you want to scroll down just a little bit.
Tell me when, keep going.
Yep, right there's good. So the option is, and it's not clear as to why a town would want to do this, other than a very specific special circumstance. MassDOT will entertain the option that the town could hire their own consultant and award the $100,000. The design limit is $100,000. And the town is responsible for the balance if it goes over that. The only reason that I can, either the town already has something in place that's already been designed, or they need a design that's going to be faster within the process. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the next step would be MassDOT awards the design either to a consultant or the town. The design process goes through the full Chapter 85 review process. We get plan specifications, calculations, etc., and MassDOT accepts it. Whether the town designs it or the town's consultant designs it, or MassDOT's consultant designs it, once that's complete, the design has been accepted. The full PS&E package will then be transmitted to the town. Just incidentally, the town will have input in the design process. Obviously, they're going to be determining what needs to be done. So the consultant in the town, whether the consultant is working for MassDOT or the town, will be consulting with the town.
This guy.
1 second. Hold
Yep.
on, 1 second.
Yeah.
1 second. Okay, there we go.
All right, so the design documents go to the town. So Mary, if you want to scroll down to construction implementation.
Further.
All right, yep. So the town is responsible here. This is good right here. The town is responsible for advertising and awarding the contract. And prior to MassDOT signing off on that, the town has to demonstrate that they have any right-of-way acquisition completed, all the environmental permits, and either the utility relocations completed, or that they are in an agreement with the utilities to move anything that may be in the way out of the way prior to construction. Once that's done, MassDOT will sign off on the construction, and then the town is responsible for construction oversight. Whether the town has its own its own personnel who are qualified to be construction inspectors, or hiring a consultant to do that. The construction reimbursement is limited to $500,000. The town is responsible for anything that's over 500. And Mary, if you want to scroll down a little bit further, right? We'll get to that in a second. Reimbursement. One thing that is not on the website, which is a very important point, if the design is MassDOT's consultant, and that is the engineer that stamps the plans is the engineer of record, and that engineer or his firm under his responsible charge has to verify that the materials that are incorporated into construction meet the design. So even if the town does not directly contract with the consultant to do the design, the town will need to contract with the consultant to oversee all of the construction submittals and material submittals for construction. So that's not clear on the website, but that's something that the towns should be aware of. And that money, the cost of that consultant work is part of the $500,000 limit. So the town would not be reimbursed for anything beyond that $500,000. So that's something that's not clear on the website anywhere. So as far as requesting reimbursement is concerned, MassDOT changed the process from the original small bridge program, which was a lump sum reimbursement at the very end, to now their process is going to follow the normal Chapter 90 process. So whatever the town is used to as far as getting their Chapter 90 money is concerned, that doesn't change. So we'll just have to confirm that all the money, the construction is occurring and sign off on all the materials incorporated. So that's as much as I'm gonna say about this tab. Mary, if you want to go back to the route directory and then go to what is a BRI or what is a small bridge? So this goes part of eligibility. If you want to scroll down just a little bit, this tab is actually pretty extensive because there's a whole bunch of different criteria depending on the type of structure. But basically what it boils down to is that the structure is between 10 and 20 feet in span on its main span. Anything less than 20 feet, MassDOT classifies as a culvert, whether it's shaped like that or not. And then over 20 feet is a federal definition of what a bridge is. Massachusetts definition is greater than 10. But we don't call it a bridge. We call it either a small bridge or a BRI for record keeping. But it's the 10 to 20 foot range that the towns may request the funding for within the program. And you know, if the town has trouble defining this on their own, they can hire a consultant to assist them, which we'll talk about in a little bit more in terms of the application process. Mary, if you want to go back to the route and then go to project eligibility. I'm not going to say too much about this tab, other than this provides quite a bit of discussion on how the grants are determined whether or not the town is eligible. Mary, if you want to scroll down a little bit further, the big thing right there is what can be requested for funding and what can't. Okay. All right. If you want to go back and then go to selection criteria. Okay, again, this comes out of the application form, but right there, the bullet list of the main things that the state looks at to determine whether or not the town is eligible, the bridge is eligible for the funding. Okay, Mary, if you want to jump back up and then go to the apply for small bridge.
Frank has just, can we, Frank, do you have a question?
I do. I have to, there is somebody here and John's still here and John will answer any question. I don't mean to leave the meeting. I may be back, but I've got something going on right here.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you for letting us know.
And Frank, we have gotten through what we need in terms of votes.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
so Mary, if you want to go to apply for the small bridge grant, and then this provides the discussion on the form, go all the way to the bottom. And if you want to hit, keep going, I just want to get the application.
here, right,
form. There it is
right.
right there. Hit that. Okay, now part of this, again, I think has to do with the language and is something that again, the towns need to be aware of. Go to page 4 of this application. And right here, provide a breakdown of the estimated cost of the project. Okay, so a couple of things in the form. One of them is being the scope of work. And the other one being estimated cost. MassDOT on this is requiring both a design fee cost and a construction preliminary cost estimate. So this is where, again, a consultant can come in and help the town. In the past, my company's done these pro bono, but there's a lot more work that's happening up front. And given the fact that there's no guarantee that the consultant that assists is going to get the work because it then could go to MassDOT and then get contracted, you're probably going to want to have have the consultant come on under contract to do this work. So the first thing they need to do is they need to come up with a preliminary cost estimate of what the design will be. And that has to be under 100,000. And then what the work will be, and that has to be under 500,000, or if it's over, the town has to acknowledge that they're going to cover the additional. That is part of the form, and then the balance of the form is the justification and administrative criteria that MassDOT has as far as the bridge itself, whether it's been inspected, whether there is a rating on it. And again, the consultant can help with that. And then finally, Mary, if you want to go back to the route directory and go back to program overview, and then just drop down a little bit. go to where it has the fiscal year. Right there. Okay, so there's a lot of FAQs at the bottom, which provides some additional information that I haven't covered, and I provided some information that's not covered on the FAQs. The fiscal year deadlines, these are just listed for 2023. They haven't updated them for 2024, but basically it's from May to the end of the fiscal year. Takes MassDOT 2 to 3 months to make a determination as to acceptance. Town gets notified. MassDOT or the town goes under contract with MassDOT. That takes a little bit of time. Either the town has a consultant on board or MassDOT selects the consultant, which then goes under their contract. We have to move through the process of getting a consultant on board. So having said all of this, the time frame to get a design, because it's based on fiscal year, doesn't work great as far as the construction season is concerned, because it's right in the middle of a construction season. It's probably going to be 2 years before a design could actually go to advertising based on how things roll out. So from the standpoint of if this is an emergency situation and the town needs work done quickly, this is probably not the mechanism to use unless the town is able to work through the what MassDOT had as far as the acceptance of the consultant and the town managing the consultant themselves to speed up the process. It might go from 2 years to 1 year, but if there's something that needs to happen urgently, again, this may not be the mechanism to use. And then finally, the consultants that MassDOT has on contract, I will list them. You can also talk to the District 5 Bridge Engineer, Shane Souza. Mary, if you want to scroll up a little bit. There's another list up above that has his email address. Shane Souza, District 5 is the District Bridge Engineer. He can help, again, the towns work through this process. The consultants that MassDOT has on contract right now for themselves, which at some point the town is going to have to work with, is Bayside Engineering, BSC Group, Gill Engineering, which is my company, GM2 Associates, Par Corporation, Ty and Bond, and VHB. All right, and again, that is not listed on the on this website because that does change based on the contracts, but that's going to have to work in terms of the construction lagging behind the contracts running out. So, and I don't know if Shane has the list. But Mary, if you ask Mary, I can help with that, provide their contact information. And Charlie has a question on, is there a program that would help fund emergency repairs? Not that I'm aware of, Charlie. Again, you can contact Shane, and certainly Chapter 90 money could be used for that too. So, and that is the end of my presentation. If anybody has any other questions.
I do, Dan from Whitman.
Yep.
Which is a small bridge. We have in Whitman a couple of cul-de-sacs that go under the road, and like one on School Street where the fencing and stuff is gone. I don't know how much damage is underneath, but is there a minimum that can be spent? In other words, if it only needs $100,000 worth of work or $50,000 worth of work, is that not enough?
No,
Is that
the
considered a bridge?
limit is 500, but it can be less than that.
Yeah, and we have another one on Essex Street that's another stream goes under that bridge. It has been repaired,
Yep.
but I do not know that the DPW would know the condition of it better than I would. And I'm gonna probably talk to them tomorrow and see if they want to look into this. And
Yeah.
if the time frame has gone by and it takes so long, can the town, like, say the bridge on School Street cost $20,000 to repair
Mhm.
and all the things, say it totals 20, 30,000. Can the town pay for that and then get
And then
reimbursed?
ask, no. No, under this program, no, the mechanism doesn't work that way. And the eligibility, if you go through the eligibility requirements on the website, it'll tell you what's eligible and what isn't. But this is, yeah, hi, Charlie. So this is not for routine maintenance. This is for full rehabilitations.
Okay.
And the town, and it's not set up so that the town spends the money, goes to MassDOT and requests a reimbursement. All that stuff would be the normal Chapter 90 mechanism. That website, for whatever reason, isn't working. I've
So I
tried
guess
it a
we
couple
need to decide whether or not we want to go through that process and if
Yes.
and it is a bus route, by the way.
Okay,
You know,
yeah,
it's
that
far
would
for
go
school
to,
buses.
that would go to the eligibility and whether or not they would select it.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And again, it has to be, the span has to be greater than 10 feet and less than 20. And that is critical for it to fall into the category.
Okay.
I have a question, Preston.
Hmm?
If it takes about 2 years for the project to happen and it's a competitive project,
Yep,
if you have a capital plan for your roadways and you say, okay, I think this bridge is gonna last another 3 years, can you go in and plan and ask for that to be replaced? Or given how competitive it is, do you almost need to let the bridge fail
Yeah,
and then ask to get repaired under this
so-
program?
the failure, allowing a bridge to fail is a gamble. You may or may not receive funding. The bridge may end up sitting and somebody's gonna have a dead end street out in front. Who
Right.
lives nearby and be very happy with that because they'll know.
But
how
I'm
to have
wondering,
cars
are
driving
those the
past
only
their
ones
house.
that get funded?
No, they're funded based on fiscal need, the importance of the structure and the condition of the structure.
Okay,
So it doesn't have to have gone to the point where it's closed. As long as you can justify, the town can justify that the work needs to be done, MassDOT accepts it. And just as a, again, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this update, recently, in the past, in the original program, we would fill out applications and it got into the backlog and did not get funded because the money ran out. Right now, the applications that we're filling out are being accepted. So we're not sure if the money pool is bigger. The state hasn't said, what the limit is on it. Or if there is a lack of towns applying because of the confusion and just they're not aware that it's continued. So just from an anecdotal standpoint, every application we filed for a town has gone through.
okay,
Doesn't
so
guarantee it, but I'm just saying that that's been the case.
okay, so it's worth talking to our towns and trying to get some more applications and get some of this money into fixing up small bridges in our region.
Absolutely. And the next round will be ending June 24. So you
Okay,
got time.
all right, thank you, Preston.
For the
So-
council members, I've talked to Megan about, we're gonna take this snippet of the YouTube video and we're gonna separate it out. So then you can share it with your DPW and your communities so they can hear this conversation. And then, as Preston had said, contact Shane. But we also have a JTC meeting that we could bring this up to. It's always great conversations, right? This is the council, but there's also, whether it's the JTC and other venues that we could have these conversations. They're important conversations.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, just very, the money is there and it is a grant. The town should take advantage of it if they need to.
Thank you very much, Preston. And I will
Mhm.
also say for the delegates tonight, if there's another presentation that you think would be helpful, either that you have an idea to present on or that you would like us to find someone to present on because it's a question that you're dying to have answered, or it's an area that you think we should focus on, let Mary know, let me know, whatever works. And we can either, looking ahead, try to find some time in our agendas, or we can try to find the appropriate speaker if it's a topic that you want covered for our region. I mean, OCPC is here to help us as delegates and help our towns figure out how to get access to a lot of grant money and a lot of programmatic assistance. So, what Preston did tonight is a way to keep us informed and give us an idea of how to help our towns. If you have other ideas of agenda items and topics, let us know. And with that said, I actually think that brings us to the end of the agenda because we took our action items early. So Mary, unless you have something else for the committee, I do want to keep reminding people about the upcoming summit. Were you going to do that, Mary?
If those were the items at the bottom of the agenda, I don't know if Megan can just pull it up if she can, but, please keep in mind the next meeting. There's a special financial meeting on November 7th. That is we have a draft report is finally in. We'll be getting copies out to you when we're ready. But that meeting will be, CLA, our new auditors are coming in to present the report. So, we were hoping to try to do it for this council meeting, but the timing was not working. So this helps us out. And then, of course, because in November, because of Thanksgiving, we do not have a council meeting, but we are going to have another finance meeting if needed. We may not need it. And then, of course, it is the summit on December 7th. So hold that date. We are changing venues from Hanson. We're going to East Bridgewater this time. That save the date has been out, but we'll be starting to get people to sign up to join us for the summit. So those are just the items that we have, Madam President.
Okay, and I will say for all of us, but especially for newer council members, that the summit is a really good opportunity to see different aspects of what OCPC does. I think I sat in meetings for months before I started to get a sense of the range here. And so the summit is a really good opportunity to learn that about our organization. So I encourage everyone to put December 7th in your calendar. And even though we didn't have the auditor meeting before tonight, I think November 7th is still pretty early compared to prior years, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
You are
So
right.
thank you, Brenda, and thank you to our auditors for getting all of the information. Brenda does a yeoman's work of making sure that our auditors have the information to process as quickly as possible after year end. So thank you, Brenda. And I think our auditors are also doing a great job of using that data quickly and helping us get ahead of this. With that said, I think we would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that
So
motion.
moved. Okay, I'll second Dan.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
Second, Dan from Whitman.
I got it, Stephen. Okay. I don't think we do a roll call for a motion to adjourn. I think we just all wave our hands and say, see you next month or see you on December 7th.
See ya.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night. Thank you.